We are going to continue reading Bhagavad Gita chapter 1. So, we have talked about how conches have roared on the Kurukshetra, how the war is almost begin, and before that, now there's a beginning of Gita, you know, the precious book that we all going to read all our lives to be better human beings. So, we are on Shlok 20, where Arjun comes into picture, and now he says, um, he, son of Pandu Arjun, who had the insignia Hanuman on the flag of this chariot. So Hanumanji is on his chariot and took up his bow, seeing your sons arrayed against him. O King Arjun then spoke the following words. So this is Sanjay saying to Dhritarashtra, father of Kauravas, that this is what Arjun is doing. Yeah. So Arjun then tells Krishna that I want you to take me in the middle of the field. I want you to take me in the middle of the field where I can see both the armies. Okay. I desire to see who have come here to fight on the side of evil minded son of Dhritarashtra, wishing to please him. So Sanjay said, O Dhritarashtra, having thus been addressed by Arjun, the conqueror of sleep. Please understand, all these words are very important. Hidden sentences, hidden words in Gita given describing the qualities of people. So Arjun is conqueror of sleep. One who has conquered sleep. He can sleep whenever he allows his body to. It's a very big achievement. That means he's above body, partially. Partially, he has reached to a state where he can conquer sleep, yet attached. You see, it's very important for you all to understand this. For people who think they can do sadhana, kriya yoga, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, all the different yogs, and you'll be standing on one feet, you get all the sadhana, tapasya, siddhi that I can see through third mind, I have intuition, I have this and that. So even if you get everything, even if you have all the mayavi weapons with you, the energy reader, energy healers, you can predict future, whatnot, still conqueror of sleep, trapped and need help of God. Remember this moment. Whenever your mind wants to go to these direction, I want to awaken my kundalini, I want to open my chakras, what does it all mean? You never even think about all this. What does it mean opening your chakras? What does it mean awakening kundalini? What does this mean? You don't know. You have no idea. You hear these buzzwords, and then you just want to do it because it becomes a spiritual trend. You know how there's trend in uh, Instagram. Now this is spiritual trends that you want to do these things. You want to be pranic healer, you want to be Reiki master. Okay, let's imagine that you have the ability that whoever you touch, you can heal them. Then, so what? What's next? Do you think you will never come back again? Tell me. Ask yourself these things. He's a conqueror of sleep. Sleep is the only thing that you have siddh in your whole past births, current births, and in future birth also you will do. Sleep, you know how to sleep, right? That's why people say always clear your mind, ask for forgiveness, say gratitude, all these things before sleep. Release things before sleep. Why? Because sleep is something you have already trained your mind to do. It's like a sadhana you have been doing for years, generations, yugas and yugas. When you were animal, you would sleeping. You get to sleep, right? As an animal. When you was a fish or any other yoni you were in, As a human, anything. You always were, there was two things, eating and sleeping were always there. So these are the two things you have always done. So this you don't need to do any practice. Nobody has to teach a child to sleep. I have to teach a child to walk. I have to teach a child to, how to hold hands, how to do this, how to do that. But I don't have to teach him how to sleep. Ever wondered why? It's been always happening. I don't have to teach him how to eat. He knows first first impulse. No matter what you give to the child, a paper or a pen, a 6 months old, a 5 months old child sitting in front of you, whatever you give him or her, first thing he will do is put it in his mouth. That's the first thing they do. No matter what you're giving him. He doesn't know because he doesn't have the awareness that this is an edible thing or a non edible thing. You still have to teach him that. You haven't taught him. Like, okay, this toy is not edible. This paratha is edible. So eat this, not this. Yeah. But he has this abhyas, practice of eating and sleeping. All births, you have been doing it. That's why. Nobody has to teach you this. Correct? Now, this man, he has conquered sleep. He has conquered sleep, and yet he is going to cry in the middle of the field that he cannot kill his enemies, his own family members. He's attached, he's upset, he's not happy, he's not getting what he wants, which means it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Unless you conquered your mind, conquering anything else means nothing. It means nothing. You understand? Unless you conquer your mind, 18 chapter will go here and he will still not conquer his mind. My dear angels, Divya Sakshi mark that I have written here, here, from mind to awareness, I will teach you how to conquer your mind. That is the problem. He conquered his sleep, yet he is upset. 18 chapters from the mouth of God. He will listen. Yet, when his son will pass away, he will be upset. He will leave everything. I don't want to fight. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to continue the battle. Again, he will go down. Imagine. Because what he didn't conquer? His mind. Now, you can sit all day in tapasya, sadhana. You can read people's mind. You can do a lot of things. You can do telekinesis. A lot of people are doing all this. But what's the point? Will you be happy always? Is there a guarantee? There won't be. Because as long as you're living with your mind, you won't have happiness. We have learned that in past sessions. So beautiful. Every word is important. I want you to understand this. So Sanjay is saying to Dhritarashtra, having thus been addressed by Arjun, the conqueror of sleep, Sri Krishna then drew the magnificent chariot between the two armies. He followed what Arjun wants. In the presence of Bhishma, Dronacharya, and all the other kings, Sri Krishna said, O Parth, behold these Kurus gathered here. There Arjun could see stationed in both armies his father, grandfather, teacher, maternal uncles, brothers, cousins, sons, nephew, grandnephew, friends, father in law, and well wishers. See how blind he is? How blind in attachment that he is saying his well wishers are standing on the opposite side. How blind in attachment that he is. This is what all of you are, blind in attachment. This I have been blind that he is saying grandnephew's friends, father-in-law, and well wishers. Do you think well wishers wants to fight against you? What do you think? They want to fight against you if they are your well wishers? Of course not. This is his blind attachment depicted in this shlok. And this is what Krishna is listening. That how blind he is that he's calling them well wishers. Imagine how much work. This is what he's thinking internally. Oh, so how much work I have to do now to make him see that they are not well wishers? How much work I have to do? And he has to do clarity in such a way that he doesn't hate them, yet he understands karma behind this, and he also don't get attached. How tricky? He wants Arjuna to fight with pure heart, not because he hate them, because it's the dharma, and he also wants him to get detached. How tricky he has to, Krishna words has to be, and how deep clarity he has to do, that people he is calling well wishers, Arjun is calling them well wishers. They won't hesitate a second to kill him. Those people standing in front of him, whom he is calling well wishers, they won't hesitate even for a second. If the opportunity given, they would just kill him. That enlightenment Krishna has to give to Arjun. He doesn't have to give Arjun moksha. Please understand. He is not giving moksha to Arjun. Krishna is not Arjun's guru. Only guru can enable moksha. Arjun thinks Krishna is his friend. O Parth, that's what he said, right? O Parth, please take the chariot between the two armies. So, means friend. So, Krishna's job is not to enlighten or give moksha to Arjun. Please understand, this Gita is not sent just for enlightenment. His job is to get Arjun detached from the people he thinks are well wisher. That is his job. That is why after finishing Gita, when Arjun asks more clarification question, Krishna says, please go to a Tattvajnani Guru. He will enlighten you. My job is done. He never does more or less. This is what you have to do in your life. Whatever role is given to you, he is doing to its perfection, not more, not less. To its perfection. Yet not chasing perfection. Keeping it natural. Sahaj. You also have to do this. Okay? In your day to day life, whatever role you're doing, not more, not less. Balance. So, seeing all his relatives present there, Arjun, the son of Kunti, was overwhelmed with compassion. With deep sorrow, spoke the following words. Arjun said, O Krishna, seeing my own kinsmen arrayed for battle here and intent on killing each other, my limbs are giving away and my mouth is drying up. This is what happens. It's very important for us to understand this emotion. He is describing his emotion affecting his body. Same thing happens to you. Relate it to yourself. This is spirituality. Whatever you're listening, apply it yourself immediately. When you are attached to someone, when you have to do something you're not comfortable with, what happens to your body? How are you feeling? That's what he's describing. He's a very awakened soul. That's why he can do that. Not a lot of people can have such awareness that whatever they're feeling, they can describe, and their body, they can also describe how the body is feeling. You need certain level of awareness for that. He has done a lot of sadhana tapasya, so he can do that. You can also do. So connect yourself with this. So he's saying, seeing all these people trying to kill each other, my limbs are giving away, My mouth is drying up. It's not like he needs water. It's the mind, attachment of the mind that is making his body weaken. First the mind weakens, then impact on body. Yeah. My whole body shudders. My hair is standing on end. My bow, the Gandhi, is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning all over. He's feeling heat. He's feeling heat on his body. His weapon are slipping because he's losing control. Power he's losing. My mind is quandary whirling in confusion because mind is fighting. Fighting between dharma adharma. Dharma adharma. What is right, what is wrong. He's confused. He doesn't know what is right, wrong right now. He doesn't understand. He's so confused. He thinks they are my well wishers, my friends, my relatives, my guru, my teachers, my family members. They're all standing against me. How I can kill them? So much attachment and love. Compassion is flowing. Even though they are going to kill him, they want to kill him. Still, he is not understanding. Still, he's not understanding. This kind of compassion is very rare. It's extremely rare. I want you all to understand this kind of compassion for someone. If someone hurts you, even your own son, own children, you will start shouting back. You will want to slap him, want to throw him out. Okay, son, children may be different example, but maybe your parents, maybe your husband, wife, whoever. A little thing they do and you won't hesitate. People are killing each other for small things. They don't have this compassion. They are hurting him. Why he is adhikari, why he deserves this gyan, this is all here in first chapter. Ask yourself, do you deserve this knowledge? Krishna is only giving to Arjun. Why? This is the answer. It's right here. They want to kill him. They won't hesitate even for a second. Hadn't given the chance, they would have done it by now. Yeah, for 12 years he has been running, hiding in jungle somewhere. Then 1 year in Agyatvas, another hiding. Why? Because they were trying to kill him. His brothers were trying to kill him. Still, he is sad and upset that why do I have to kill them? Would you have this? Someone who has tortured you, hurt you, stolen your kingdom. Your family has been in despair for years, roughly 15, 20 years, since childhood. Pandu's Jeevan, how it was. Yet he is hesitating, or I would say hesitating is a small word. He is really upset that he doesn't want to hurt them. This level of compassion is extremely rare. That is why he deserves this knowledge. On one side, he is extremely attached, but it's easy to get attached to people who, do good things to you. It's very easy. If someone is being nice to me, I am getting attached to them, it's nice. Attached to people who are not even nice to him, who wants to kill him, hurt him, still he doesn't want to hurt them. What would you call it? Is he not saint already? Is saint enough to be called in this Kali Yuga at least? Maybe where he is living may not be. So he's describing his body falling down. Oh Krishna, I do not desire victory. See, he has no desire. Another thing, another reason why he deserved this. Has no desire. for victory, kingdom, and happiness of acquiring it. These are two high level emotions: extreme compassion for your enemies, whom you're also calling your well wishers, then you have no desire. And God gives only to those who have no desire. He is God is going to fight the battle, make him win because he has no desire. The other person has desire. He wants the kingdom. He wants to be the ruler of the whole Hastinapur and all future generations and whatnot. For him, no battle is being fought. But for one who don't want, Krishna is fighting himself because he doesn't want. So I always told you, when you don't want things, you get more. You know, we don't understand. It's very hard to understand this concept. We are chasing small things. You chase like, okay, $1 million, $2 million. God has like 50 billion dollars ready for you, but you are chasing like small money, small things. So he's like, okay, be happy with this, whatever you want. So, O Krishna, I do not desire victory, kingdom, or the happiness of acquiring it. Of what avail will be kingdom, pleasures, or even life itself, when the very person of whom we covet them are standing before us battered? Imagine, he's saying, what's the point of having the kingdom when the people who are going to live with him are going to die in front of me? What's the point of this kingdom? Who would think like this? Would you? Would you have this care, love, compassion for your enemies? 100 children trying to kill 5 of them. Still, he's saying, what's the point of winning a kingdom when the people who are going to live in it are going to die? Then who will live in that kingdom? What will I do alone in that kingdom? Make sense? Right? Teachers, fathers, son, grandfathers, maternal uncles, grandson, father in law. Look at his attachment. He's not that self aware, you know. He is aware, but he's not that self aware what he's saying. I will tell you. He's saying teachers, father, son, grandfather, maternal uncles, grandson, father in law, grandnephew, brother in law, and other kingsmen are present here, staking their lives and riches. O Madhusudan, I do not wish to slay them. Even if they attack me, firstly, he is not self aware. The names he is giving, he should ask, why are they even trying to fight against me? Which teacher wants to kill their children, their disciple? Who does that? It's wrong. Who grandfather wants to kill the grandchildren? Who does that? Again, wrong. Whose maternal uncles, grandson, father in law wants to kill these kids? Who? This level of self awareness he doesn't have. He is saying in love and attachment, but he doesn't know what he's saying. Krishna is thinking. Why he's not thinking? Krishna is in his mind, he knows what gyan he has to give next. Because he's still seeing them teachers, grandfathers, maternal uncle. Krishna will be like, what are you saying? Whose grandfather wants to kill their grandchildren? Tell me, Arjun. This awareness he has to put in Arjun. So, O Madhusudan, I do not wish to slay them. Even if they attack me, if we kill the son of Dhritarashtra, what satisfaction will we derive from the dominion over the 3 worlds? What to speak of this earth? If I kill my father's brother's children, like my cousins, what I'm proving in the three words. What I'm proving. From this session today, I want you to take two things with you. First part is how much Arjun is attached. How much he is a conqueror of sleep. He is the one, he's one of the best, um, I think he's one of the best kingsmen in the world. He is taught by the Guru himself, Dronacharya, yet feeling so weak and vulnerable in this situation where any ordinary man would feel more powerful. Any ordinary man in this situation, they would be like, I will fight against them because they hurt me. Any ordinary man immediately start fighting. How attached he is. Second takeaway that I want you to know is that how much compassion he has for people. These are the qualities God looks in individuals before they start sending them to spirituality, before giving gyan. You also who have come here, some qualities have been seen. You don't just happen to stumble upon this. It is a gift given to you. And the gift is given based on the choices you have been making, people you have been forgiving, good gunas you have been showcasing, good karmas that you have been doing. Based on that, you are given this opportunity to come to a spiritual session so that you can grow even further. The person, God, universe, whoever you call it, the one who sends you here, if sees that it's not causing any good impact, is the one also that take you out of it. It's not a choice. Coming here is not a choice. It's kripa. It's a blessing. It's given because when you're chosen. But when you don't follow the teachings, you're taken out also. Like go back. So I want you to take these two things. First, how attached he is, even if he has conquered sleep, even if he has done so many big, big things in sansar, it means nothing. It has no quantifiable value compared to conquering his mind. Because in such moment where an ordinary man would fight like a rebel, he is weak. How attachment makes you weak. Then, on the other side, how much compassion he holds even for his enemies, that he deserves this knowledge. Deserves this knowledge to get out of attachment. 99% people are not even attached. You're not even attached yet. You're only attached to this body and yourself. You're selfish. 99% people are not even attached. That's why when you come to spirituality, first you need to learn to attach, learn to feel, learn to care, learn to love. Then it is taught to you the gyan, the knowledge of how to attach while staying detached, how to help someone, care for someone, love someone, and remain detached. Okay? So, this quality Arjun had. Now he's going to get this knowledge from Krishna in coming chapter 2 and above. We'll go through. I think in the next few sessions also he will be talking a little bit, he'll give some arguments. So we'll cover that as well.